we can be responsible citizens in our community were primary reasons behind the price reductions. Our society's leadership believes that converging trends in scholarly publishing, mixed with widespread economic woes, especially in our traditional markets, are not short-lived and will in fact have a sustained impact on the scholarly publishing industry. As a society and not-for-profit publisher, we decided to respond to these challenges by taking the opportunity to reassess our position in the marketplace and our strategic approach to growth. We spoke with stakeholders from librarians to sales agents. We reviewed market research we had conducted in the recent past. We reviewed our performance indicators like new business and renewals and usage. We explored the various pricing models in the marketplace, and we determined that we were in a position to redefine our pricing model and reduce our prices while still projecting sales growth and continuing to develop SPIE's digital library. Today I'm going to do a brief background on SPIE and the digital library, our reasons for and our approach to our pricing review, lessons learned and decisions made, the community's response and an early assessment, and if there is an applicability to the larger scholarly publishing community. Before launching into the meat of the matter, however, and to put our decision in context, I'd like to take just a moment to tell you a bit about who we are and what we publish. SPIE is a not-for-profit international membership society for optics and photonics. We were founded in 1955, and our mission is to advance light-based technologies. We publish a large number of proceedings, conference proceedings, journals, books. We put on scientific conferences around the world. We have continuing education programs. We are important in the patent precedent activities, and we have career and professional growth activities for our members and other constituents. SPIE serves nearly 190,000 individuals from 138 countries. We have 15,000 individual members. We support 150 student chapters worldwide, and we provide about $2 million U.S. annually in both dollars and in-kind support for scholarships, grants, and other education programs around the world. Optics and photonics are considered enabling technologies rather than definable and fundamental disciplines such as physics or chemistry. As enabling technologies, optics facilitates technological solutions across many disciplines and many applications. As this chart indicates, today and projected into the coming decade, optical and photonics technologies are shaping the future of our world. They are embedded in virtually all high-technology applications, from medicine to the environment, from solar energy to nanotechnology. Every display, every computer, every satellite, from the simplest LED acting as a high-quality flashlight on your keychain to the most complex imagery used by the defense and security industries, we are living daily with the results of optics and photonics research. What is the SPIE Digital Library, or the DL as we call it in-house? It's a database that contains research content from the proceedings of SPIE and the Society's 7 scholarly journals. In 2010, the Digital Library added a new component, the SPIE Books Collection, which was launched with 125 tutorial and reference titles and is adding approximately 20 new titles each year. The Digital Library is the largest collection of scientific and technical research in optics and photonics and contains approximately 300,000 interdisciplinary research papers currently and adds about 18,000 new articles each year. What was our institutional business model for the Digital Library prior to 2010? Our model is a subscription-based model. We had 4 pricing tiers. The tiers were based on the size of the institution and, depending on the market segment that was involved, other aspects. For instance, the academic market, the tiers were based on the Carnegie classification and relevant programs within the academic institution. For government agencies, our pricing was also tiered, with relevant FTEs or full-time equivalents being the major factor, together with relevant programs. And in the corporate market, our pricing tiers were based on revenue at the corporate level and relevant FTEs and relevant programs in the corporation. We had two basic offerings to the digital library, a subscription model to the full DL or subscriptions to topical collections, which are basically subsets of the full digital library. And we employ an international team of sales agents to help us gain subscribers. Our pricing model originally was based on print. We took the cost of the publications that we launched in 2003, so it's been a few years now since this happened. Originally, we publish about 400 conference proceedings a year plus a number of journals. The original price was based on the print price, our having removed the aspect of the cost of printing and the cost of delivering content for the original pricing. Tier 1 for the largest institutions is the base for our tiers, with each lower tier having more heavily discounted than the one above it. Consortia pricing was also based on tiers, with the greater the number of members of the consortia, the higher the discounts. Regional and country discounts were keyed to the World Bank and to the United Nations Human Development Index data, and we provide free or low-cost access to most INSAP, PERI, and EGDS participating countries. What prompted us to reassess the digital library's pricing? We had plenty of positives going. We had exceptional growth from our launch in 2003. And in 2008 to 2009, we had a record-breaking subscription, new subscriptions. We had a 99% renewal rate. 90% of our researchers rated the digital library as good or excellent. 83% would recommend SPIE to the digital library to their colleagues. But we also had some nagging concerns. Our pricing model, we felt, was overly complex. We had anecdotal evidence that pricing was high relative to the competition and perceived value in some parts of the world. We believed that there was suboptimal penetration into some target and market segments, and we felt we could not dismiss or minimize the economic realities facing current and prospective subscribers. The question was there a better way to do it? In keeping with our educational mission, an overriding priority is the dissemination of optics and photonics technologies to the research communities. An important imperative was to make sure that all researchers have access. Consistent with SPIE's not-for-profit mission, we are not driven by returning a profit each year to our shareholders, but at the same time we must provide a sustainable future and to ensure that the SPIE digital library can grow, develop new content and features that are of value to the research community. To do so, we need to behave, if not as a business, in a business-like manner. Taking that into account, overall, our project objective was to achieve an optimal balance of reach and revenues. SPIE engaged a scholarly publishing consultancy, Kaufman Wills Group, to help us analyze the institutional market and offer strategic pricing recommendations for the digital library. What we did to identify and evaluate our alternatives was to look at a situation analysis and a field analysis. Our first step was to review the digital library's key performance indicators, such as pricing, circulation, and revenues, rereading relevant reports and analyzing data. We reviewed market-leading subscription models. We profiled and prepared the subscription models, compared the subscription models and pricing on several metrics for a number of publishers and products in the same publishing space as SPIE. We also held a series of phone conversations with the digital library's sales agents to discuss market reaction to pricing and what changes might be made to advance the situation. Then we turned our attention outward, examining how SPIE pricing fit with other publishers and interviewing collection development librarians and subject specialists for both current and prospective institutional subscription lists. The objective of speaking to the librarians was to help us uncover how price-value perceptions were impacting subscriptions, and renewals, the competitive space in which the SPIE digital library sits, and whether current pricing was off-kilter, content could be repackaged, or the value of our product was somehow underestimated or misunderstood. And what did we learn? Several factors led us to conclude that SPIE's reach and revenue were likely to benefit by adjusting rates downward. We also learned that we could keep our tiered structure in place with some reconfiguring of tiers and with some relatively minor changes. With respect to the tiered model, we found that it was well understood and accepted, but smaller institutions or larger institutions with smaller or fewer relevant programs needed tiering consideration. We knew, and we received further data that corporations really prefer pricing based on usage. We learned that the cost per use for the lower tiers might be too high. And of course we came to understand, as the industry does, I think the industry at large is understanding, that the cost per download is an increasingly important metric. We learned that our sales agents and librarians desired room for negotiation. We learned that our topical collection subscriptions were growing at a faster rate than the full digital library, and that our market penetration was low in some market segments and in some price tiers. Adding an epic economic and long-tail recession made the long-standing serials budget crisis all the more poignant. If ever we were going to expand the reach of the SPIE digital library, it would be critical to hold on to our current subscribers through this extraordinarily turbulent period. We realized that in order to do so, we would need to be able to help them as much as we possibly could. In this slide, we talk, you can see some quotes from the International Coalition of the Library Consortia. Flexible pricing that offers customers real options, including the ability to reduce expenditures without disproportionate loss of content, will be most successful. It's in the best interest of both publishers and consortia to seek creative solutions that allow licenses to remain intact as long as possible without major content or access reductions. The American Research Library Association of Research Libraries said, "It is the common view among research libraries that they, like many small libraries, are facing protracted budget reductions and cannot justify any expectation that cuts being implemented are anything but permanent." So acknowledging the need, although we considered many variations, we had three basic choices. We could either, 1, hold prices, 2, discount rates, or 3, lower rates. We did not think that lowering rates would provide enough of an incentive for new subscribers to come on and would offer little relief to those subscribers in lower tiers likely paying above market rates. So option C was quickly sidestepped. Discounted rates was considered quite seriously. Although SPIE felt much more comfortable having a set rate and not deviating from it, we thought it was more equitable to our subscribers. We obviously were concerned about the money we would lose if we lowered rates across the board. The librarians with whom we spoke had wanted some room to negotiate rates. Our international network of sales agents wanted some latitude for negotiating sales. Targeted discounts held some appeal for these reasons. In the end, however, SPIE believed that reducing and altering our price classification system in order to allow for business growth in areas we were not reaching, in combination with a price rollback that would benefit all of our current customers in this very tough economic period, was the correct business choice. How did we lower our prices? Well, we had the process, of course. The long research period and analysis of data. We had many discussions with our executive management and with our volunteer board of directors. We ran financial scenarios and impact projections. In terms of implementation, the 10% price reduction was applied to subscriptions to the full digital library, which includes the proceedings of SPIE and all its journals, and it was applied to topical segment subscriptions as well. It was not applied to consortia arrangements for which customized discounts were already applied, or to subscriptions to single SPIE journals. However, 2010 prices for consortia were frozen at 2009 rates. Additionally, the new pricing was fixed through 2012 for those subscribers who signed a 3-year license commitment at the time of renewal. Ultimately, why did we change? These actions are the result of a year-long study concerning future directions for SPIE's digital library, in which many librarians and researchers in North America, Europe, and Asia participated. Based on that research, there are 2 primary objectives for reducing the price and restructuring tiers, and they are equally important and compelling. First, our decision is based in a direct response to the clear message from librarians that the global economic situation, on top of long-term budgetary pressures facing libraries, warrants a new and more flexible approach to the subscription model. A second objective is to better enable more institutions and thus more researchers, especially those in smaller research institutions, and in an institution of any size with smaller relevant programs, to have access to our content. How did we restructure? How did we address the need to restructure the tiers? New price tiers or bands were introduced so that smaller institutions and larger institutions with limited engineering programs have better opportunity to acquire SPIE content. Until now, SPIE had used a 4-tier pricing model with tiers defined by factors such as full-time equivalence, Carnegie rankings, institution size, and technology relevance. The new system adds a 5th tier with tier definitions adjusted to better accommodate some organization types. This change impacted a few current subscribers. Most customers remained in the same tier, with a few moving down 1 tier to a lower price. In no case was a subscriber moved to a more costly tier, even if the tier definition moved them to the higher tier. Changes in tier assignments are evaluated and discussed with the subscriber at the time of renewal. Other changes include we allowed introductory discounting to enable institutions to test the degree of interest. We examined the cost per download as a factor in assessing value to the institution and the appropriate tier placement in the renewal process. And corporate pricing changes still need to be addressed. We hope to tackle this issue in 2011-2012 timeframe. So the big question, of course, is how did we fare? And the very good news for us, and I think for our subscribers certainly, is that 2010 renewals have been very good. We did lose 1 consortia in 2010 due to the economic crisis, but we had a 99% renewal rate for all other accounts, which was consistent with pre-2010 performance. New business, since our announcement in June 2009, has exceeded 2009 growth levels, and 2009 was a banner year for us, the best subscription year we have ever had in our history. New business has been across all tiers, but particularly strong in the new lower tiers. And looking beyond 2010, SPIE plans to continue to seek ways to moderate price increases and potentially continue rollbacks as our subscriber base grows. The little table I have to the right in this slide shows the International Monetary Fund data and shows the economies of the so-called BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and that they are expanding. The Middle East, Africa, and Mexico, too. The U.S. and Canada are expected to grow more slowly, while Japan and Europe will likely see even lower rates of growth. Of note is that estimated recovery in 2010 and 2011 is flat in both situations, with developing country rates exceeding that of advanced economies. This data suggests that the situation that the world faces in terms of economics is not a blip, and it's data that supports our concept that there is a need to reset thinking about publishing costs and library budgets, not just to make accommodations for a 1-year or a 2-year decline in economic fortunes. So the question now here is a little bit looking outward a bit further, not so much at SPIE. How applicable is SPIE's response to the larger scholarly publishing community? And I have a few musings to leave you with. SPIE chose to drop its prices because we believe that it is good business for us to do so. We believe that in the near and long term, publishing economics must change, and we believe it is better for SPIE's future to address that reality by shifting our business model now rather than have it shifted for us without our control later. Our decision is a choice consistent with our not-for-profit educational mission and already has resulted in additional growth and a stronger subscriber base. Market growth and user demand are the factors that allow SPIE to commit to this path. As might be expected, we received much praise from our subscribers who thanked us when we announced our price rollback. But lurking was the concern that we just turn around and raise prices next year, essentially making the price rollback little more than 1 year's relief followed by a big increase that would erase the savings. But our commitment to our subscribers is this. If demand continues to grow for our content, and we expect that it will, and if our market share continues to grow, and we believe that it will, we will hold the line on price increases and reduce fees each year where it is possible. Based on our new business generated under our new pricing plan, we are very pleased to be able to say that in 2011 we will be freezing prices at the 2010 rollback level. In 2012, if renewals hold and if new business continues to build as anticipated, we will offer another rollback. There is an inherent and implicit irony here that is not lost on us, nor possibly on you either. When SPIE dropped its prices, did the library thank us and then use the savings to pay for a price increase by another publisher? How could that be in SPIE's best interest? And we respond that having healthy libraries is in SPIE's interest. Growing our market is in SPIE's interest. Being and being seen as a part of a solution is in our best interest. And in a small way, we believe that being willing to be a leader and step out a little from conventional publishing wisdom is in SPIE's best interest. And I will end here with some questions that are not really mine, but they belong to all of us. Is one lone not-for-publisher's actions meaningful in any way in the larger context of scholarly publishing? Does that put SPIE's action under the heading of tilting at windmills and meaningless in the larger arena? A number of publishers froze prices in 2010 in response to the library's plea for addressing the continued and ever-escalating price increases. But is the fundamental dilemma for libraries so rooted in their arrangements with the mega publishers and the big deals that any action outside of this by any not-for-profit or non-mega publisher becomes meaningless? If libraries do not or cannot act by changing their spending approach, in essence voting with their dollars or euros or pounds, who then is to blame for the continuing trends in increased pricing? And more importantly, perhaps, it's a question for all of us, librarians and publishers alike. What does the future hold if all continues without change? So this brings me to the end of my, my talk. I'm going to now turn and see if we have any questions. And let me check here. Looks like we have one. And the question is, are you sure your pricing will be long-term? What will happen in 2011? Well, our SPIE's business goal is that our pricing will continue to reduce as we grow. And though we can't project many years out. We can say that for 2011, as I said earlier, we have frozen our prices. And in addition to that, for current subscribers, we're looking at cost per download as a measure of value. So, for instance, we've had some situations where we have seen usage grow, and in those cases, we haven't increased our prices. And in some cases, when we've seen usage drop, for instance, a program might, this happens sometimes at corporations, where the focus of the corporation's research changes direction. Perhaps a division might be even sold off. If usage drops, then we try to make an accommodation that would actually reduce the price to keep the cost per download as a factor in establishing value for that company or that academic organization. Right now, for 2012, we are anticipating that due to the trends in new business, that we will be able to have a rollback. It probably won't be a 10% rollback, but it will be something. And by freezing our prices, we actually are adding some extra value to the rollback because, of course, there's inflation going on that we're not passing along to anyone. So I hope that answer is complete enough. I don't have any more questions at this point, so I want to thank you for your for being here, and I also wanted to say that you'll receive a link to this webcast, which will become a webcast, and you should feel free to share it with colleagues if you'd like to. This is the first time I've made this presentation in a webinar, so I'd be very pleased to receive your feedback and critique. I'd like to improve, and if I missed any points that were important to you, I would, or things that you think that should have been included, please let me know. I'd like to thank you again for attending and for participating, and I'll sign off now, and we'll be sure to be in touch soon. Thank you.